The Beginning of Indian Cinema, written by Raghav Suri. Part 2. The Vision of Dadasaheb Phalke. There is a small debate as to which film is India's first feature film. Hiralal Sen's film Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves was completed in 1903, but there seems to be no record of this film ever being screened, and no copy of the film is known to survive due to the fire that destroyed Hiralal Sen's entire filmography. In 1912, a film called Shri Pundalik was screened. While some scholars cite this as India's first feature film, many argue that this can't be considered a feature film as it was simply a recording of a stage play. It was a silent film recording of a popular Marathi play. Though the cameraman was an Englishman, the director was Dadasaheb Phalke, and there are a few film historians who regard him as the father of Indian cinema. However, most would agree that the father of Indian cinema and the pioneer who helped birth what is now the world's largest film industry was Dhundiraj Govind Phalke, popularly known as Dadasaheb Phalke. Dhundiraj Phalke was born on the 30th of April 1870 in Trimbak in the Bombay Presidency, now in present-day Nasik in Maharashtra. He was from a Chitpavan Brahmin family that spoke Marathi as their mother tongue. His father was Govind Sadashiv Phalke, who was also known as Daji Shastri. He was a noted Sanskrit scholar as well as a Pandit, a Hindu priest. His mother, Dwarkabai, was a housewife. Dhundiraj was one of 7 children and was in training to become a Pandit like his father and one of his elder brothers, Raghunath Rao. Dhundiraj didn't pursue becoming a Pandit. However, his connection to the Hindu Dharma and the history of India is something that clearly influenced his life and would later influence his career as a filmmaker. Govind Phalke eventually got a job as a professor of Sanskrit at Wilson College in Mumbai, then known as Bombay. In Bombay, Dhundiraj finished school and attended college. It was in Bombay where Dhundiraj developed a love for the arts. He attended the Sir J.J. School of Art and took a year-long course in drawing. He married his first wife, whose name is unknown, in 1886. The marriage lasted until the year 1900, until her passing. In 1902, he married Saraswati Bai, and they remained married until his death in 1944. Dhundiraj continued to pursue his education of the arts, taking up courses in painting and even architecture and modeling. He would later pick up photography, including processing photographs and printing them. Photography is clearly what interested him the most, and he decided to pursue the medium as a career. Following his first wife's death, he was living in Baroda where he ran a photography studio. However, despite the fascination that one would expect from this new medium, there was actually a lot of fear. Dhundiraj offered his services to take portrait photographs. However, many people were skeptical and rather frightened of the camera. Many people felt that the camera would suck out the energy from their body and lead to a premature death. In the day when we can snap an endless amount of photos with our phones, this seems odd, but it was a very real fear. Even the then Prince of Baroda felt that getting his photograph taken would end his life prematurely. While the prince eventually changed his mind, Phalke's photography business didn't seem to have a future. He was facing financial difficulty and he had to learn new skills to make a living. He did a bit of everything, though he was particularly enamored by magic. He studied magic from a visiting German magician, and he soon became skilled enough to perform in public. Reversing the letters of his surname, he began performing under the stage name Professor Kelfa. It was around this time that he married his second wife and eventually found a job working at the Archaeological Survey of India as a photographer and draftsman. Yet he wasn't happy with this job and eventually quit after working with the organization for 3 years. He decided to give entrepreneurship a try. He set up a printing press company called Phalke Engraving and Printing Works, along with the noted scholar R.G. Bhandarkar. One of his major clients was the Indian painter Raja Ravi Verma. They would print his works, and this proved to be a major success. Finally, it seemed that Dhundiraj Phalke was succeeding in business. Eventually, Phalke moved his printing business from Lonavala to Dadar. In 1908, R.G. Bhandarkar left the company, and Purushottam Mavji joined as partner. The company was now called Lakshmi Art Printing Works, and it was doing so well that Phalke was able to travel to Germany to buy extra machinery for his business. However, Phalke and Mavji had certain differences pertaining to how to run the business. Eventually, Phalke decided to leave the company he started to find a new venture. By now, he clearly had the confidence that he would succeed in whatever endeavor he tried. In fact, Phalke had received such a great reputation as a printer that many investors offered him money to start a new printing press, though he turned down every offer. We can't really know why Phalke turned down such lucrative offers, particularly since he had proven success as a printer. Maybe he was now stable in his career, but he wasn't completely fulfilled. While printing paid the bills, it clearly wasn't his calling. Clearly, Phalke had something else written in his destiny. But what did destiny have in store for Phalke? On the 14th of April 1911, Phalke, accompanied by his son Bhalchandra, went to the America-India Picture Palace. They went to see a motion picture called Amazing Animals. Bhalchandra was particularly amazed at seeing moving images on a screen. Seeing animals being animated on a screen was quite a treat, and he told his mother about it when he got home. The next day, Phalke decided to take his entire family to see a motion picture at the same cinema. It just so happened that the next day was Easter Sunday. As a result, a film about Jesus called The Life of Christ, made by the French filmmaker Alice Guy Blanchy. While watching a film about Jesus Christ, Phalke began seeing images of Hindu gods, including Bhagwan Ram and Bhagwan Krishna. It shouldn't come as a surprise. After all, Phalke was the son of a Pandit and was trained to be one himself. He realized that this fantastic medium called the motion picture could be used to tell stories of Indian history and of Hindu Itihas. It was then that Dadasaheb Phalke began his journey, which would lead him to be known as the father of Indian cinema. Phalke spent a year buying equipment as well as several books on how to make motion pictures. He became so invested in learning how to become a filmmaker that he mortgaged his insurance policies to travel to London to learn how to make motion pictures. Upon arriving in London, he met a one Mr. Cabon, who was the editor of a magazine called Bioscope Cine Weekly. Mr. Cabon introduced Phalke to Cecil Hepworth, a noted British filmmaker who made several silent films in a variety of genres. Hepworth showed Phalke how a motion picture was made. Phalke eventually bought a camera and film to take back to India. After 2 months in London, he was ready to travel back to India and embark upon a new adventure. In 1913, at the age of 43, Dadasaheb Phalke made history with the release of India's first full-length feature film, Raja Harishchandra. Shot on a shoestring budget with minimal resources, the film was a labor of love for Phalke, who served as writer, director and producer. Raja Harishchandra was more than just a cinematic endeavor. It was a testament to Phalke's unwavering determination. In a time when Indian cinema was still in its infancy and few people in the country had even seen a motion picture, Phalke defied all odds to bring his vision to life, laying the groundwork for a burgeoning industry that would captivate billions of people across the globe. The success of Raja Harishchandra heralded a new era in Indian cinema, inspiring a wave of filmmakers to explore the medium as a means of artistic expression and social commentary. Phalke's pioneering efforts paved the way for the establishment of the Indian film industry, providing a platform for storytelling that resonated with audiences across the nation. Beyond his groundbreaking debut, Phalke's contributions to Indian cinema were multifaceted. He went on to direct and produce over 95 films during his illustrious career, spanning a wide range of genres from epics to social dramas. His technical innovations, including the use of special effects and elaborate sets, set a precedent for future generations of filmmakers. Cinema was truly what Dadasaheb Phalke was born to do. His films were a hit, and audiences would line up to see Raja Harishchandra and his other works. With the money collected from his films, he was able to pay off all his debts. He was such a household name that his status in society increased even further from his work. During the First World War, his investors were unable to finance his films. But this didn't stop him. He managed to secure finances from royals such as the King of Aundh and the Princess of Indore. The Indian nationalist and freedom fighter Bal Gangadhar Tilak also tried to help him with financing his films. Tilak, along with some prominent financiers including Ratanji Tata, Phalke was approached to turn his production company into a limited company. Textile industrialists from Bombay wanted to help Indian cinema grow and thrive, and they offered to invest in Phalke's film company. In 1918, his company Phalke Films Company became the Hindustan Cinema Films Company. The company's first film was Shri Krishna Janma, which was a major success and ran for 10 months. In today's lexicon, it would have surely been part of the 100 crore club. Phalke did have certain creative disagreements with the other owners of the Hindustan Cinema Films Company. Though the company was successful in producing films, he became frustrated with these differences and eventually decided to part ways. He and his family left Bombay and moved to Kashi. He also decided to retire from filmmaking. While in Kashi, he did write a play in the Marathi language called Rangbhumi, which had a limited run and didn't match the success and fervor that his films did. While Dadasaheb Phalke had decided to walk away from cinema, the industry wasn't done with him just yet. Many figures from the industry tried to convince him to start making films again. At first, he was skeptical, as he felt there was no place for him left in cinema. But the fact was, Phalke was now needed more than ever. The company he helped found, Hindustan Cinema Films Company, was suffering financial losses. Many felt the only way to revive it was to have their star filmmaker make a comeback. He decided to rejoin the company as an employee and start making films again. The first film he made once joining the company again was Sant Naam Diyo, which was released in 1922. He continued to make films for the company until 1929. Sadly, none of these films were as successful as his earlier work. He then left Hindustan Cinema Films Company and started a new film company called Phalke Diamond Company. He made a film called Setu Bandhan for the company, which took a total of 2 years to complete, mostly due to monetary issues. The film wasn't a major success, and one of the reasons was that it was a silent film like all of Phalke's films. But by this time, the world of cinema had introduced sound and dialogue as a regular part of films. The silents were being hushed by the arrival of the talkies. India's first talkie was Alamara, which was released in 1931. Phalke decided to dub Setu Bandhan to Hindi and re-release it. The film was released again in 1934 with a Hindi dub, but sadly wasn't financially successful. It was quite clear that Phalke also had to produce a talkie. In December 1934, Maharaja Rajaram III of Kolhapur approached Phalke to make a new film. The Maharaja had his own film company called Kolhapur Cinetone and wanted Phalke to make a film for the company. The film was Gangavataran, and was once again based on Hindu scriptures, in this case the Puranas. The film was the first Indian film to be screened at Bombay's Royal Opera House. Sadly, this film was also a flop. At the time, films dealing with social issues in contemporary India, such as those made by V. Shantaram, were more popular. Dadasaheb Phalke was 67 when he made Gangavataran, and after finishing the film, he decided it was time to call it a day. He retired from filmmaking and spent the rest of his life in Nasik. Dadasaheb Phalke passed away on February 16, 1944, at the age of 73. While his final films weren't financially successful, he was nevertheless recognized as the father of Indian cinema. To this day, he is remembered for helping pioneer what is now the largest, most diverse and most dynamic film industry in the world. Film historians have written several books about Dadasaheb Phalke's life and career. The filmmaker Paresh Mokashi made a Marathi language film in 2009 called Harish Chandrachi Factory about Dadasaheb Phalke and the making of Raja Harishchandra. Since 1969, the Government of India has given a Lifetime Achievement Award to any film professional who has made significant contributions to Indian cinema. The award is called the Dadasaheb Phalke Award. You have been listening to The Beginning of Indian Cinema Part 2, The Vision of Dadasaheb Phalke, written by Raghav Suri, narrated by Piyush Agarwal. Words and audio are under copyright 2024 Raghav Suri. All rights reserved. You can find more works by Raghav Suri at www.raghavsuri.com and www.suriaudio.com. To listen to more stories by Piyush Agarwal, go to piyushagarwal.com or look up Kahani Jani Anjani podcast on your favorite podcast streaming app.